Good evening, everybody. Coming to you here, Champion Motorsports, with our Wednesday night iRacing GT3 Sprint Series. This is David Anderson. I'm joined by Ryan Thompson, and we are in the beautiful, spectacular Belgian forest at the world-famous Spa circuit. Ryan, I'm excited. In fact, I don't know if you and I are more excited about this tonight or the drivers and teams.
I don't know. It's going to be close.
It is. I think we're pushing max on the server tonight, about 60 slots, and last I looked, there was at least 50 or so here, from what I could tell. So this is going to be super exciting.
Yep, I had 53 at last count. I hope that nobody's going to be left out in the cold, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, it sure will be. Well, one of the things that we'll go ahead and set up right away, folks, we're here at the tail end of practice. You can see the cars on the track, and a lot of cars are in pit road. We're just winding up practice, and here momentarily, you're actually going to get to hear the drivers' meeting, and our own Ryan Thompson, who's here with me broadcasting tonight, is actually going to do the drivers' meeting. So he plays double duty. He's going to be in the booth with me in some of these races, and he's also going to do the drivers' meeting to kick things off. So we're going to get to that here now, and then we will be back to talk about qualifying and set up the race.
All right, welcome to a brand new season of GT3 Racing. This race at Spa will be our first full season race in the GT3 Sprint Series, brought to you by Champion Motorsports and my fellow admins, PR Robitaille, Liam Park, and Tim Collier. We're at the start of a new season here and have a bunch of new people, so let me just go into a little bit more depth than normal tonight. This particular race is going to be 75 minutes, so that should require one pit stop. The fuel max is set at 85%, so make sure you check your setups and make sure that you've set up your desired amount of fuel. iRacing will give you a drive-through penalty every 21 incident points tonight. If you get damaged, you've got one fast repair available if you need it. And we've got a nice big grid tonight, which means you are going to be sharing pit stalls, so please don't be caught off guard if there's somebody in your stall. And now let me talk about the orange zone real quick. Orange zones, or OZs, here at CMS are special zones that apply on the first lap only. And that's to encourage just a little bit of extra caution in that phase of the race that tends to have the most incidents. So we want you to race hard in the orange zone, just be careful and leave lots of room. For tonight, the orange zone is going to go from the start past the exit of turn 9. That's the left-hander after the Rivage hairpin, The Eau Rouge and Radion complex is an especially common place to have problems, so please be extra careful there as well. If you do have an incident after the orange zone, we encourage you to talk to the other driver about it, and you can still have it looked at by the stewards if you want. We've got info up on our Discord for that. And a couple other notes here, just based on what we're seeing in practice here. Make sure you lock your brakes if your car gets out of control. That helps you be more predictable for the drivers that are coming up behind you. And if you're going to flash somebody in an attempt to get around them, please don't flash your headlights more than a couple of times. Doing it more than 3 times is actually subject to a penalty here. All right, thanks for letting me carry on a little bit longer than usual. These will get shorter in the upcoming races. Next up is going to be your 10-minute 2-lap quali. Good luck in that. Are there any questions? All right, good luck in quali.
All right, you just heard Ryan Thompson wrapping up the drivers' meeting there, and we are going to move right over to qualifying here in just a couple of minutes. You can see a few cars still coming into the pits. Ryan, got the butterflies and the nerves there, and through the drivers' meeting, and sounded like it was pretty straightforward and not too many questions.
That's usually how it goes. You know, the core group that we have here, they know what's up.
Yeah, and we don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing here, but I think we're going to have a great race tonight. I know I'm certainly looking forward to it, and it'll be interesting to see how some of the new folks that we've got in the series tonight, as well as the veterans, do together. And so qualifying looks like it's just getting underway here, and you'll have to help me with this. I know you're one of the admins for the series. It's a private qualifying, it looks like, or is it open? Am I?
That's private.
Okay, and how many laps are they able to do here?
They're allowed to do 2 laps that count, and they have 10 minutes to complete those laps.
Okay. So plenty of time to get 2 laps in. If you had 4 here, I think that would be an issue. We're riding along with Humberto Roca. Humberto, it's great to see him out here with Delta Racing. Longtime CMS member, but has not been around for a while. But someone that I certainly think will be a contender tonight. And, in a beautiful, really hot-looking Lamborghini as he's on his outlap, getting out on the track here, getting ready to take a flying lap.
Absolutely. Humberto is always fast, always consistent.
Yeah, and as he gets ready, as he's kind of moving around the track, we'll take a look. Another car's out, getting ready to go. It's Michael Parker. Michael Parker, another probably one of the favorites tonight. He is in a Lambo as well. Very similar looking paint scheme to what Humberto has running, but a different team. Michael actually runs with a few different teams. Pneumatic Motorsports, he runs with the Ghost Racing team. And he's also one of our pro drivers for the CMS Racing Endurance team. So it'll be interesting to see what Michael's able to do as well. Just a real stand-up guy. Someone I always enjoy watching.
Oh, absolutely. He's actually taken home a couple of championship victories here in the last year or two on the Wednesday night series that we run here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a phenomenal driver. As we're still kind of watching them take their outlaps here, another one that comes to mind we talked about in practice last night, and yet another Lambo. We're going to have to get off the Lambos here in a minute and talk about another manufacturer. But Miguel Colon, another CMS champion, the champion of our Porsche Cup Series in the iRacing Team Endurance Series genre that we do here. I love this car. It's simple. We talked about this last night. It's black and purple, and it just kind of looks bad to the bone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks electric, like it's just ready to jump right out of the screen at us here.
It really does. Two other, and one of the things that will draw everyone's attention to as you're watching here tonight is anyone with a number that is not starting with a 200 number is a driver that is a pro driver. So Humberto, Michael, and Miguel, all pro drivers. If we want to take a look, for instance, at someone that's in the Pro-Am class, as we call it. Here's a good example. We've got Franco Buckley, who I believe is one of our newer members, and he's out in the Audi on his outlap as well here. So definitely going to be interesting to see how these Pro and Am drivers get along together out here tonight.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a lot of very fast Am drivers, so it's going to get mixed up a little.
It certainly will. I'm going to go back right where we started here with Humberto Roca, and as he is getting out here on the track and getting into top form, I believe he's on a timed lap at this point. We'll go ahead and ride along with him here, see, as he's probably going to be one of the first drivers to lay down a time, already kind of on the jaunt down to Blanchimont here. Be interested to see, Ryan, if he holds this up wide open. He sure did. We'll see in the Lambo go all the way down to first gear here. He may be our first driver to get a time lap in here. Let's see what he puts up on the board.
He's certainly not leaving any track to spare.
No, he's not. He's in P2. We've got Tyler Pinheiro, who was very fast last night. Let's go over to Tyler. He's actually an Am driver. This is Tyler on a flyer lap right here now. But last night when we were on for a few minutes in practice, I loved the way this car looked. And Tyler was just really, really fast. And a 200 number, so an amateur driver or a Pro-Am driver. Be interesting to see if he can hold on to that top spot. It looks like he's already lost it, as I say that, to Miguel Colon.
It's going to be a tough competition.
Yeah, it is. And I think starting position tonight here is really going to be important.
Oh, absolutely. That run up the hill is always a pinch point, and you always want to be out in front if there's anything going on.
Yes, sir, for sure. I'm going to stick with Tyler here, see if he can reclaim this pole position. And as he goes around, we'll go back on board with him here and see what he's able to do. Tyler also in the Audi, so we're seeing a mix up front of Lambos, quite a few Lambos. There's a one Audi here, which we're on board with, and with Tyler's car, and Dick Muller in a Ferrari in the top 5. So we've got 3 Lambos, a Ferrari, and an Audi in the top 5 right now for overall standings, and 1 amateur driver in Tyler, and then all pros. The next amateur down is Rafael Sosa in the 7th position overall right now in qualifying. What do you think? You think he's going to pull it off here as he comes to the line and get back on top?
Ooh, it's going to be close. It's looked like a really solid lap.
He might have lost a little time there in that chicane right at the end. Does not look like he bettered his time. Go back on with Miguel Colon. Here comes Miguel. He's actually pulling into the pits.
Tyler's second lap time was 8 hundredths slower than his first one, so very consistent.
Wow, that is something else. Looks like most guys have already kind of got their times in. We're seeing a little bit of movement on the board. Miguel Colon, though, looks like he's probably going to be the pole sitter. There's still a little bit of time to get a lap in here. But for the most part, I'm not seeing too many guys out still on the lap. It looks like perhaps 1 or 2 still out, but down in the field in the running order. Did you get a final count, Ryan, of how many were here? Did we get to the max?
You know, I'm just going to count that up right now. There's about a minute and a half left in quali, and then you're going to hear me again. Just give give everybody a couple of gentle reminders on the grid as we get started, and then we'll be off.
Most excellent. Yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to watch this battle tonight. We'll have kind of multiple things that we'll get the opportunity to focus on in the race, which will be really fun. We'll have, of course, the overall race battle that we'll be featuring tonight, as well as any interesting battles we see throughout the field. That's one of the great things that we've talked about here at CMS that we love so much is the just all the phenomenal drivers at multiple different skill levels that you have here that can race together, and so it'll be certainly very interesting to see some of the battles not only up front but throughout the field, and so many talented names of guys that I know are capable of winning races that are down in the order here in the qualifying tonight. But I think we'll see some of these guys work their way up throughout the evening as well.
Indeed, and we've got a lot of people here who might not put up the fastest lap times, but they're extremely consistent. Their racecraft is absolutely on point, and they'll tend to move up the order, as you say. And some of the battles even in that back half of the pack, are still some really excellent racing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we'll just see some phenomenal battles here. So it looks like we have finished the qualifying. Miguel Colon, we're gridding up now at this point. Miguel Colon will be on the pole, so a huge congrats to Miguel. I believe Tyler Pinheiro will start second. He's actually the in class for the Pro-Am class pole sitter, and Humberto Roca will start third. If we work our way down the field, Michael Parker, who we talked about, goes by Charles Michael Parker, but Michael for short, will start in fourth in the 23 car. Dick Muller in the Ferrari, the highest qualifying Ferrari, will be in fifth. Rounding on out the top 10, we've got Chris Brunemer in the Lamborghini. Rafael Sosa is our second Pro-Am driver in seventh position. Another really, really talented driver in the Pro-Am class. He'll be one to watch in the BMW, and he's followed by Jose Dolio, who I think they may be teammates, the two of those guys. And then Kevin Ayers and Claude Belval rounding out the top 10 tonight. Really, really strong qualifying for Kevin Ayers running in the Pro class. And Kevin, a driver that has certainly got a lot of racecraft, and someone we'll be interested to watch tonight as well. All right, so everybody's gridding up. We're just on countdown. Ryan talking to the drivers a little bit more here to get the evening started, and then we're going to get out here at Spa and do 75 minutes of fun.
Indeed, and we're just about ready to roll off the line here.
Are we doing I guess we're doing an abbreviated formation lap. It looks like they're lining up back kind of near the chicane, if I'm seeing this correctly.
It's going to be really interesting to watch the first dozen or so cars come through the start-finish area.
Yeah, it is. You have a prediction at all, Ryan, of who we might see on top at the end of this thing tonight?
Oh my, no.
Yeah, you could make any number of them. I'm going to go out there. I think we're going to see Michael Parker win this race, and I think we're going to see he's just been fast all week. Tyler Pinheiro in the amateur class, I think, is going to be awfully hard to beat in that Pro-Am category. So we'll see how they do and how I do with those predictions as we get started. You can see all the cars getting started here, running down in here to La Source. Looks like we're off to a fairly clean start. Miguel Colon gets clear. And it looks like Tyler Pinheiro fell back to Humberto Roca there on the start. Oh, and Miguel is around and off.
Wow.
Wow. Cold tires. And just a disaster for probably one of the favorites in the race, the pole sitter. Went up through a rouge there, Ryan, and I mean, what'd you see?
Well, I think you're absolutely right with the cold tires. Just pushing a little bit too hard, maybe got a little bit offline.
Yeah, and boy, that you just don't want that to happen there. That happens, and all of a sudden you are in serious trouble. It's going to snap loose. Oh, and look at this. Tyler Pinheiro is around.
Oh, geez.
So two of the favorites, including the my predicted winner in the Pro-Am class, already looks like both of those cars are out, first and second on the grid, and I believe towing to the pits. Will they have a fast repair?
They do have one fast repair available, but of course it's going to cost them a lot of time, so they'll be out of the running, but on a recovery drive.
Yeah, absolutely. So Humberto Roca, who is awfully steady and someone that we've seen here for a long, long time at CMS, finish on top of the podium.
And John Taylor Tammy is off and into the wall.
Oh my goodness.
He's another one that is always fast and consistent.
Yeah, and I'm on with him now. Oh, and he's there, and they're still wrecking back here around him. He's in the Ford GT3, and you could see JT now. Let's rewind there and see if we can see what happened with him to cause that.
I'll tell you, the Ford has been a handful, and even in practice, JT was having a little bit of trouble wrestling it. So.
Yeah, and I'm on it now. He just kind of went around on his own, into the wall, backed into the wall, destroyed his rear wing, and then I think some of the other cars coming around him there reacted to that, and it was over at that point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, up front, we've got Humberto Roca, Charles, Michael Parker kind of just pulling away. Although we are seeing a little bit of drafting. Chris Brunnemer now looking to get around Michael Parker, and he will, going down the long Kimmel straight here. So, not without excitement, Ryan, to get us started this evening. Let's take a look at who is out front in the Pro-Am class. It looks like right now our leader in that category, running 5th overall, is Claude Belval in the Ferrari. So Claude already up 5 positions from where he started. So just a phenomenal start for Claude. And he looks steady in this Ferrari here in the Doge Bear. Absolutely does. I don't know, Ryan, if you've got much experience with Claude. He seems like a newer name to me here in the series, but certainly excited to have him here with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been accepting signups for this series now for over a month. I want to say about 6 weeks. And we have had a lot of new people come in, which is great. We love to see it. And many of them have just quickly become fixtures at CMS. They're just, they fit in right away, and it's great to see.
Yeah, that's just fantastic to see. Really is. Just absolutely fantastic to see new folks coming in and some new names and everything. And then you pair some of those new names up with some of the guys that have been around a long time. I'm gonna go to one of those right now. We'll talk a little bit about Chris Hudson here at the start of this race. Chris Hudson in the 43 car in the Lamborghini has been here with CMS since day one. Running in the pro class, always a driver to watch for, and it looks like as he kind of starts lap 2 going down to La Source, he's looking on the inside to try to make a move on another car. But it's just great to have kind of these guys that have been here with us since 1999, as we go into our 24th year here, and then guys that this may be their first race with us. So it's just such a fun dynamic.
Indeed, and one of the strengths of CMS, in my mind, is such a well-established culture we have here. New people come in, they quickly see what we're all about, and then it's easy to decide if this is a place that they want to be, if they're going to fit in.
Yeah, and I think I think because of that culture being so strong, it really kind of runs itself, if you will, and that's one of the things that we just love about it. We've got a really strong battle back here for second place, by the way. It looks like Chris Brunnemer, who we mentioned earlier, was able to get around Michael Parker, and now we ride along with Michael as he chases Chris. As they've warmed the tires up at this point. They're on their second lap. Humberto with about a 2-second lead, and Michael has slipped down really hasn't slipped down. He's up one position from where he started, but he's in third position overall at the moment.
And I'll tell you, I wouldn't want any of these guys in my rear view.
No, you and me both. And that's the other thing. We're seeing, it looks like the top guys here, fastest lap of the race has been set by Humberto Roca with a 2:18.081, and the top 3-4 guys all in the 2:18s. Then when we get back to about 5th place, we're starting to see 2:19s. And then on back into the field, I think we'll see all the way down to about 2:22s in this race. So we'll have a wide range of skill sets. But, with these new GT3s, you got to take care of the tires,
Yes, you do.
Yeah, they have definitely made it to where you got to take care of the tires, and we've got it set up with. Tell us a little bit about kind of the configuration we've done with fuel and that type of stuff, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the max fuel set at 85%, which in our testing we determined that was a good number to give us pretty much a guaranteed pit stop for every race. So we don't have to change it. Everybody knows what it's going to be. And apart from that, we always run with dynamic weather and dynamic track state, just to keep everybody on their toes a little bit. More simulate real life racing conditions. You don't know what the weather's going to do.
Yeah, you certainly don't. And I mean, we know with this track in particular too at Spa that we will absolutely see some rainy races when iRacing gets that all modeled. This will be one for the ages for sure, as far as the weather you may get dealt if you use realistic weather. We know the rain can come here quite a bit.
Definitely. And even without the rain, a few degrees difference in track temp can drastically alter the handling of your car.
It really can. It really can. And, and speaking of handling, I'm on the BMW here with Rafael Sosa right now, running in 7th place overall. And there's a string of BMWs here. Rafael, Jose Dolio, and then Brett Stevens, one of the CMS Endurance Pro drivers. This BMW is such a good car for a track like this where you just need the car to be good at everything. And I think these BMWs are going, we didn't see them up top in qualifying, but I think we're going to see them strongly contend in this race in both categories of Pro-Am and Pro.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. We've seen in our testing also, and some of the practice races we did, some of the cars will kind of rise and fall depending on what track we're on, and that's normal. The BOP is balanced around all the tracks, not just one. But the BMWs have been pretty consistent performers.
They really have been, and I love this little battle here. Rafael and Jose Dolio, which is another thing to call out. We have with CMS being primarily, originally, if you will, a North American-based racing league, and a lot of our events being in friendly North American time zones, at least during the week. We tend to have a lot of guys that are in North and South America that come up into this series, which is really nice. As we see in this BMW battle, the Longhorn racing car, Brett Stevens, just making a move up into this fight, which will be interesting. We're on Brett now, but it's nice to have a mix. When we talk about Americas is probably the better way to say it time zone wise, because you get a lot of these guys like Rafael and Jose and Humberto Roca, who we talked about a moment ago, and Juan Martinez and Miguel Colon. These are all guys that are in the Americas, but just in the southern part.
Yes, and a lot of them also have been with us a long time, and in this big crazy happy family that we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, is this BMW of Brett Stevens not a beautiful looking car? I mean, look at this thing. It is just popping off the track with the chroma color paint scheme.
Yeah, that's really well done.
Yeah, Brett driving for the Longhorn Racing Team, team that I actually race for as well. Some when I'm on the track, team that was founded by Larry Ford. Larry here in the race tonight, running. Looks like he's back in 26th position. Looks like Larry may unfortunately be off track at the moment. But Larry Ford, Mike Tyler, Mark Johnson, another driver in that group. Brett Stevens looks like he's the high driver. But you know what I think we're going to have to do here, Ryan, is get back up front, because I'm noticing all of a sudden that we've got a battle starting to come together with Chris Brunnemer is right on the tail of Humberto Roca, and he's really begun to kind of bring that gap in. You can see it here.
Yep, that gap is closed right up, and Michael Parker's not too far behind.
Right. And is that Dick Muller back there with him, or is that Miguel Colon that slipped back into that fourth slot in line here? It looks like Miguel Colon's car.
Oh, I thought it was Dick.
Maybe so. Let's verify that. No, Dick, I was right there. This is Dick here in the Doge Bear car, but just ahead of him in the purple and black car is the 87 of Miguel Colon. So you can see Miguel, right. He's back on the track. So he got that fast repair. I'm assuming he's a lap down at this point.
Yeah.
Now, is there a situation, Ryan, we didn't touch on this in too much depth but what do you think his situation is for fuel? After that, will he be able to stay out, or is he going to have to be in the pits a second time?
He's going to have to pit again. These cars will go about 45 minutes on a full tank, and we've got more than an hour left of racing here.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he's not going to be able to work that to his advantage, where he got the fast repair and then could kind of get his service and be done. But I do think we're about to see a race for the lead here, maybe as soon as this lap, as we've got, you can see Chris Brunnemeyer has really pulled in the gap that he had, and Chris has moved up 4 spots, so he definitely is on the move and turning times up there with the leader for sure. And Michael Parker has now dipped down into the 217. So these guys are they're balls out right now.
Absolutely. So if you're Chris Brunnemer, the question in my mind would be, do I go for this spot and try to nail my next 5-10 laps and get out ahead, or do I just hang back, conserve a little bit of fuel, and make my move after the pit stop or thereabouts?
Yeah, or even an undercut, or something along those lines. We've got 75 minutes of action here tonight, and we think the cars will go about 45 minutes or so on fuel. But it looks to me like he's going to take a look. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a move here on the Kimmel Straight. It's going to be really important for Humberto to get a nice run through a Rouge, and that all starts out of La Source here. You've got to get a good exit out of this next corner. So it looks like they both go in here really wide. Little bit different turn into the apex.
Tighter line there by Humberto.
Yeah. And these two cars, of course, of the same chassis and manufacturer. But I think he's going to have him all over him here at the end of this straightaway. It'll be interesting to see if he makes the move. Here he comes. And, of course, Humberto's going to protect that inside line. And Chris is going to look on the outside, at least to show him his car. Terrific. Oh, and he's really going to stay with him. And they are in just as much of a dogfight right behind them. But actually, that is not for position. That's Miguel Colon, who has charged up past Michael Parker. He may unlap himself in this race, Ryan.
He might.
Yeah, in fact, I think Miguel could arguably be the fastest of these guys up front. Oh, and look, we've got Humberto off. And there it is, Chris Brunnemer to the lead. Humberto Roca. I'm going to go back and let's see what happened there.
See that.
Yeah, let's go back here and see kind of what happens. It looked like he just made a mistake. Yeah, here we are. I'm going to pause, go back a few frames here, and learning how to work the cameras, doing this broadcasting stuff as I go. But paused on this, it looks like he just lost it. Just lost the line and opened the door. Yep. And when he did, not only did he lose that position, but he then let Michael Parker and Miguel Colon back into the equation. And even though Miguel's a lap down, he's going to push to get back on the lead lap.
Oh, absolutely. And that's absolutely his right to do so.
Yeah. So we've got a new leader as we start lap 4, I believe.
And another hour of this.
Absolutely.
Door, absolutely. Bumper to bumper racing.
Yeah, so, I'm looking back in the field, and maybe you can help me with this, as, looks like, if I'm not mistaken, that we've got a number of cars already retired, but it could just be a visual on my spot. But not sure if that's something you could check into, Ryan, or if you're able to. If not, no big deal, but be curious to know if we've got anybody out of the race at this point.
We do have a number of DNFs. I think the ones you're seeing are accurate. Several of those people I do recognize from getting caught up in the lap 1 shenanigans.
Yeah, and unfortunately are out. Any key names that are sticking out to you there?
Well, one of our admins got caught up in that, Pierre Robitaille.
That's never a good sign.
No.
I am seeing Pierre on the track, though. I think I am, unless let's take a look here. Yeah, here's Pierre. I love his car.
Oh, good. Okay.
Absolutely love his car. So I'm actually showing, maybe that was misinformation on yours and my parts. I'm showing Pierre actually in 14th position here.
Okay, good.
And he's in the midst of a battle. This was a battle that I kind of wanted to look at that was standing out to me here in the standings. It's Pierre Robitaille, Stephen Yanni. Just behind Pierre is Franco Buckley and Juan Martinez. All 4 of these guys just hammer and tong right now. It looks like about 3 or 4 different manufacturers of cars as well. Pierre in the ugly Christmas sweater Lamborghini, of course.
Yep, that's been his signature livery, no matter what we drive.
Is he wearing that sweater year round at this point?
Yeah, he had it when we were racing in the Skippies, Formula V even, I think.
Oh, and looked like we had a car off there. One of the things that I noticed is... Yeah, and speaking of admins, as you can see, I'm in the pits here. Unfortunately, we've got Liam Park in the pits with quite a bit of front-end damage here. Not sure what happened to Liam, but he is out of the car. I just hate to see this.
Absolutely.
Just absolutely hate to see this and that kind of trouble that he had. We'll have to get a report after the race with him to see what's happened here in this situation.
You want a timestamp of 20 minutes and 30 seconds? I found what happened to him here. Looks like he got a little bit of help.
Oh, he did. He did, yeah. That is unfortunate. While that was going on, Humberto Roca again has company. Michael Parker is right on his tail. And he is actually looking like he's trying to make the move. Michael is getting very impatient.
There he goes.
Very impatient. You could tell we'll ride on board here with Michael. He wants around Pierre. He wants around Humberto in the worst of ways.
Yeah, that body language of his car is let me go.
Michael running one of the faster laps in the race so far, a 2:17.9, and he's actually going to make the move here in Blanchimont. He's going to, and he had to come out of it. Humberto cut him off there. But this is quite the battle here.
All the more crazy when you realize the actual drivers in these cars are separated by each other by more than 1,000 miles.
Yes, they are. That's the beauty of sim racing. It's just come so far. I think he's going to make a move down here. I really think that he's not going to settle for another lap of being behind Humberto. And it really looks like Humberto, maybe, Ryan, I'm thinking the handling of his car's gone away. He lost the lead.
Tires a little too hard, yeah.
Yeah. And, here's Michael going on the outside. He's going to make this move on the outside, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't clear him down here.
Yeah, it looks like he can make this stick.
Wow. What a pass.
Beautiful.
That is the man on a mission right there. So we will follow this closely as he ends up setting his sights ahead on that first place. But he's got a little bit of lap traffic now in between him and this looks like a lapped car just directly in front of Michael, if I'm not mistaken. And then he's got Miguel Colon, another lap car, so he's going to have to negotiate getting around them as well. And he makes quick work here of the 258 car getting around there. I think that was James. May have been Anthony James. I have to go back and double check that. But Michael now just has Miguel Colon. And if he gets up there to Miguel, which I don't know that he will be, I'm sure Miguel will probably let him go. Realize that he's not in the fight at that point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we talked earlier about this driver, and I'm going to go back to him here for a second. Up, from what I see here, a huge amount of spots, at least for the cars in the top 15, is Brett Stevens. This BMW is on the move. He's now gotten around Rafael Sosa. You can see Rafael behind him now, and Brett holding a very pretty wheel. In fact, that's Chris Hudson, Ryan, just ahead of him, a pro driver. But then we have not had a battle yet for the lead I'm mistaken there. It's Rafael Sosa who is the second place car in the... and the 248 is slow on the front stretch. Did you catch this?
Yes, I'm seeing it, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a car very slow. This is Tim Burke. And did he lose ignition, or?
I can't see him being short on fuel unless he didn't take enough. Maybe just a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, but boy, he was sure off the pace.
Yeah, definitely. He's still slow.
I'm showing him, and I'm showing him on an outlap, but there might be more to this story, but still slow. And running in 47th position, but yeah, this car is probably going to have to get back to the pits, it looks like, for some help.
Yeah, this is borderline not safe here.
Yeah. He may get he may end up getting a message there before this is all said and done.
Looks like he might be pulling over.
And look at this. Still moving forward. Humberto Roca has clawed back a little bit on Michael Parker. But, one of the cars that I cannot help but go to here is we've got a driver in this race, Ryan, that is up 29 positions from where they started. And
Ernesto Diaz.
yeah, that is Ernesto
Yes.
Diaz in the Ferrari. I mean, look at this drive. I don't know what happened there, if he just didn't get a good qualifying, but this Puerto Rican driver in the Ferrari in the Pro-Am class up 29 positions from where he started, well inside the top 20, and he's ahead of some really quick drivers like Mark Johnson, Pierre Robitaille, Larry Ford, Paul Hamilton, Tim Collier. These are all guys that aren't easy to get around.
Indeed. And we are approaching the pit window here, so we might start seeing some scheduled pit stops.
You think so? Even 20? Yeah, you're thinking some of the guys might short pit on us?
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but in the next 10 minutes or so, I would say.
Another good battle we have going on, and a couple of drivers we talked about last night. Let's take a look at this battle. This is two guys that, I am not kidding, have been racing together for 20-some-odd years. This is Larry Ford with Longhorn Racing pulling Paul Hamilton around the track. And I know both of these guys personally. They're both just tremendous humans, and just great sim racers as well. This is a battle for 23rd, 24th spot, but it is a battle of two real veteran pro drivers here. And two Lambos.
Two more Lambos. Yeah, these two are always great to watch.
Yeah, and they're going. This will be an interesting little storyline we might want to pay attention to, because you've got Tim Collier in this battle. He's just behind these guys a little bit. Pierre Robitaille. These will be some guys that are just, don't you know, they're just grinning ear to ear, battling each other out here, even if it's for 23rd, 24th position.
Oh yeah.
We'll see kind of where Tim is in this battle. Tim, some of these guys, Larry Ford driving a Lambo, that's a new car for him that I know he hasn't been in. Here's Tim Collier in the BMW. Don't know that I've ever seen Tim in the BMW. We commented on this a little bit last night.
Yeah, he hasn't. He usually goes with the American muscle car option if there is one.
Yeah. You would think that you'd think he'd be someone you'd see in the Ford GT3, but I know better than that. Tim's a Chevy guy. He was a big Dale Earnhardt fan, yeah. Still is. He loves the Bad Boys Vets and all the American Le Mans stuff from back in the day, and I don't think he'd be caught dead in a Ford. And he's stubborn on those sorts of things. We know that about Tim. We're gonna get back up front here, and we've now got a situation where Chris Brunnemer is threatening to walk away with this thing. 4 seconds may not seem like much, but he is slowly pulling a gap. Has the fastest lap in the race with a 2:17.7. I believe he hit that lap last time by. And Ryan, he's kind of just taken off here.
Indeed. And if I'm Michael Parker, I'm thinking, what are my options here? Do I not take tires, try to save a few seconds in the pit stop, or change up the strategy a little bit?
Yeah,
or just hope he makes a mistake.
Yeah. When we look in this top 10, we've talked about a lot of these guys. There's a couple we haven't, and so we'll give them a little bit of airtime here. Here's one that, I have to say this is a surprise for me to see this driver in the top 10, Kevin Ayers, with this strong of a field, but a pleasant surprise. Kevin with the Ghost Racing team, number 33, 9th position. It looks like that's right about where he started. If I've got this correct, and Kevin having just a phenomenal run. He's really picked up some pace.
Oh, he's looking great out there.
He is, and it's interesting that Kevin opted into the pro class, so I love seeing that as well. He's kind of driven a lot of the Pro-Am category, and I noticed he and Tim Collier was another one that have gone pro this time. How did we... was it you could elect yourself in, or did the admin team have some input into where people were slotted, or?
Well, that's exactly it. People were able to choose, and we may sort of rebalance things after the first couple of races, but that's to be determined.
Yeah, especially when we see some of the guys like we had one of the amateur drivers at really the top of the leaderboard before the unfortunate accident, early in the race all week. But as we've talked about, it's one thing to turn a fast lap, and it's another thing to turn a bunch of fast laps, right?
Exactly.
But just to give you an appreciation for the quality of the field here from a pace perspective, there's a driver here in 15th position in another BMW, Richard Hibbs. Richard, a very high I rating in iRacing, a lot of accolades to speak for. Has believe contended for, if not won, a championship here at CMS, and up 7 positions, having a great race, but 15th position. So this is going to be a very deep field that we're watching here tonight.
There have been quite a few movers and shakers here that have made up a lot of spots from the start, but there have also been, there's also just this huge clump of drivers that are right where they qualified.
Yeah, there are. And if there anybody you can think, Mark Johnson is another one that is up. Looks like 28 spots from where he started. Let's see it. Let's take a look here at Mark and see what's going on with him. Again, another one of these Longhorn racing cars. So the Longhorn, and just another beautiful paint scheme. Mike Tyler, we know, is the artist behind, and Mike in the race tonight as well in 31st place of his own. But just a beautiful looking paint scheme here. Mark and Brett Stevens in these matching BMWs. Mark with the red on chrome, and Brett we saw earlier on the blue on chrome. But Mark Johnson here up 28 spots from where he started.
Yeah, it's very impressive, and I'm right with you there about Mike Tyler being a very talented painter.
Yeah, Mike is. We're just so privileged to have Mike in the community. He's another guy that's been here from the beginning. In fact, taking a look at Mike while we're on the topic, I'm going to go to him. He's also having a solid race. This is Mike up 10 spots. Mike in the Lambo, so he's with the Longhorn Racing Team, but it's interesting to see in the Longhorn Racing Team, they're running 2 different manufacturers tonight, Ryan. We've got Brett and Mark in the BMW, and Larry and Mike Tyler in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, I'm interested to see all the teams' vehicle selections. On the team that I race with, Can-Am, we have basically not settled on a single car either. A few drivers have preferred the Lambo, and then we have the likes of Tim in the BMW. So I think what we're seeing since the updated GT3s here at the start of 2023, that they're brand new cars. They have some characteristics that we're used to, but they've changed a lot. So it's kind of a brand new ball game.
It really is. And talking of races, look at this race. Look at Mike Tyler, Leonard Burke, and Anthony James. 3 guys. Look at how close they are. You can throw a blanket over the 3 of these guys. And these are guys that have been doing this together. These are all 3 veterans of the series, veterans of the league, huge supporters of CMS. And to see these 3 guys out there just going at it hard. Mike's the meat and the sandwich, it looks like, between Anthony and the others. He is chasing Leonard, from what I can tell, and he's got Anthony right in the mix with him as well.
Man, it's always hard to keep up with the pack in front of you when you're all battling for position.
Yeah, and here comes a move. You're going to see right now, this looks like Ernesto has come into the battle, and he's pushing his way around 2 of them.
He doesn't know what.
Wow. And he had a problem. He had a problem there. We're going to have to go back and see what happened here. He had a problem and somebody was off there as a result of that. You could see the Ferrari in the background. And this is where I believe that's the 251 car. So this is where, we could see he made that move, and he just couldn't make it stick down here, Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we'll go back here and watch this. He came in, and these are two veterans, and neither one of them were going to give him an inch. He tried to get in between the two of them, and they were like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" And he just couldn't make it work.
That is a bold move.
Yes, it was, and just couldn't make that one work. But he's gathered himself back up here and is running again. And I think you're right. I think we're probably getting within, definitely within any minute here, we could start seeing some pit stops. We'll go back up front here. This looks like a battle for the lead, but again, it's not. This is Miguel Colon right on Chris Brunnemer trying to unlap himself. I feel like Chris would be smart to let him go here.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is not the battle that Chris needs right now.
No, he doesn't.
Miguel's not really a threat to him.
Right. And if you're Miguel, you're probably thinking, okay, if he's going to let me stay here, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because I'm going to see if I can't force him into a mistake and let him think that he's racing me when he's not. So we'll see here how much ice in the veins Chris Brunnemer has. Because Miguel is just all over him. Yeah, we've got, I think, Drew Lidke on the stream, a teammate of yours, Ryan. Looks like he's not able to race tonight, but he is asking a couple of questions and checking in. He wants to know where Liam Park is, and I don't know if you can check on that while I'm focused on the leaders here, but Drew says hi, and I know a teammate of yours and a friend and part of that Can-Am team. He's wanting to know how Liam's doing.
Indeed. Liam is not running at the moment.
Oh, that's right. Liam we saw on pit road, and has he retired at this point?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's disconnected.
Yeah, so unfortunately he called it a night. Looked like he got some help earlier, Drew, and we elected, partly because of our novice skills on the camera, but controls, as we're learning on the fly here, but also out of respect, we didn't draw attention to what happened, but Liam was probably fuming while he was sitting in the pits. Tell you what, the battle of the race, though, is ever since Michael Parker got around Humberto, and as soon as I say that, it looks like Humberto is back around Michael Parker now. So he's reclaimed that second position. Here they are. These two have been nose to tail for a good 15 minutes. And Humberto's car just looks unsettled to me. Look, he's off again. Off again in the no-name section, and Michael all over him. Seems to me like Humberto needs to consider some sort of an adjustment at the pit stop.
Yeah, he's been having some issues there.
I mean, he's fast. He's certainly fast, but I just don't know, can he sustain it? Especially with the pressure that he's under.
Yeah, that's the challenge here. We've got a relatively cool track tonight, so we shouldn't be chewing up the tires too badly.
Yeah, it looks like Larry Ford is one of the first drivers on pit road. Let's check in with Larry. He's looks like maybe he's back off pit road now. So we're starting to see some lap times in the standings of when cars were in, and I think we're going to see the leaders coming in soon here too. Looks like Claude in the 256, our top AM driver, has been on pit road and is there now. So here we are with the Pro-Am category leader.
One thing to keep an eye out for here is that Spa doesn't have enough pit stalls for everybody, so we have to share pit stalls.
Yeah, we do, and it looks like most of these guys that are in were with our Pro-Am category leader, Belval here. Looks like he came in for full service, tires, the whole 9 yards. And you know what? It looks like he actually, Ryan, I think you and I might be under misinformation. This might be the GP pits because he exited the GP section. He didn't come all the way down here and exit at the endurance exit.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe we are configured with GP pits tonight. This driver has just been rock solid up front here tonight. He really has not had any pressure leading from this Pro-Am category and really racing hard with a lot of the pro drivers. This is Mark Johnson right behind him in the 15 car who we talked about earlier. Mark is the big mover in the race. He is up 32 positions right now. I know we've got a little bit of a pit cycle, but man, up 32 positions from where he started. There's something to be said about that.
Oh, absolutely. No matter where you start from, that's incredible.
And Mark, not having come in yet, now finds himself up there with the leaders.
And we'll see if he elects to stay out a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm curious if the BMW maybe is getting a little bit better fuel mileage. Yeah, it looks like we had a driver, 9 Fast and Furious in the chat. I don't know who that equates to in real life name, but had a meatball on the first lap. That's unfortunate. That may have been our pole sitter in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, that's just a tough situation no matter how you look at it. A lot of these drivers have put in hundreds of laps in practice, plus a lot more practice in these cars with all the preseason and practice races that we've done. So to get, have your race end in the first 30 seconds is a major bummer.
Yeah, no, it really is unfortunate with that when that happens. I've got to think we're going to see. What's your estimation of how long they can run? We're at 42 minutes into the race here, and these are our leaders, first, second, and third. We're again with Brunnemer and Humberto Roca and Michael Parker. None of them have come in yet. I think we want to stick with these guys and see kind of if they can jump each other, who can kind of get the best pit.
Yeah.
How far? What's your estimation? How much longer can they go, Ryan?
Well, typically I think people were running about 45 minutes on a tank, but if you wanted to really push it with fuel saving, you could probably stretch it out an extra lap.
Yeah, so we're going to see, looks like Paul Hamilton, the 277's on pit road right now, taking service. Paul having a phenomenal run. He was in that battle we talked about earlier with Anthony James and Larry Ford and Pierre Robitaille. That'll be a battle we'll come back to a little bit later. But Paul, and then we've got a wreck. It's Roca. It caught him out. It caught him out. We were worried about that.
Definite pucker moment for the two guys right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see if he brings this thing to the pits. Oh, and man, just about gets caught out again.
Ooh, that rejoin.
Yeah, he's got to be coming to the pits here, I think. Yeah, he is. This car needs an adjustment. It really does. We talked about this earlier, and he needs an adjustment. He is in a bad way handling with this car. And we noticed it right at the beginning when he lost the lead. The lead was given to him at the beginning, and then he lost it to Chris Brunnemer. Just looked like he just didn't have the stability. Maybe he's running too low of a wing. What are your thoughts here?
I agree with you. I mean, there's knowing Humberto, like he's a really solid driver, so I would probably lean towards chalking it up to the car. I do know that he hasn't had as much time to practice as he might like, so that could be factoring into it as well.
Yeah, he had mentioned that he was finally able to get back. He's been on a bit of a leave for a while, and just now getting back. So it looks like while all that was happening, Dick Muller came in, and here's Dick in the Ferrari. He pulled the undercut. So this is our driver here to watch closely that came in for the undercut, and to see if he could make up some time with Parker and Brunnemer. So I've got to think Parker and Brunnemer are coming this time. But Dick's he kind of came in to make the move first. So he's, of the three leaders now with Humberto falling back, this is the first one that's been on pit road. And I think we're going to see him come. I think we're going to see him come this time. This is Brunnemer still battling with Miguel Colon, just all over him. No, he goes. He's taking another lap. So I think these guys are stretching it. And boy, to turn the laps they're turning, and Ryan, the pace they're turning in, the fuel mileage, this is some drive for Chris Brunnemer here, and he stretched his lead out to 6 seconds over Michael Parker.
Even with Miguel all over the back of him, that's really good.
Yeah, it really is. And in the meantime, we've got a new leader in the Pro-Am category. So Rafael Sosa has now taken over the lead in his BMW here in the Pro-Am category. This may be pit related and may not be, but I didn't get a chance to see with all the action that happened with Humberto Roca. But otherwise, it's been a little bit of trouble at the start, but by and large, has been a very clean race.
Definitely.
With this size field, you're always going to have a touch and go at the beginning. But by and large, other than that, the two leaders in both categories crashing on lap one, that Humberto Roca incident was kind of the biggest problem.
Yeah, definite upset there.
Yeah, so as we continue to ride with Rafael Sosa, he's now up to 4th position overall, but he's not been to the pits yet, and I think that we're going to see this thing level out a little bit as our leaders start to come to the pits, and I'm expecting them. Here's Michael Parker, expecting Chris Brunnemer. I've got to think they're probably coming in this time, and it looks like Brunnemer finally gave way to Miguel Colon and let him go.
So, yeah, that may have been a smart move with the pits coming up.
Yeah, I think so. So let's see if he's coming in here this time. Yeah, he is. So here comes Brunnemer. We'll stay with him here on his pit stop. He hits pit road, gets all the way down to speed. Michael Parker should probably be coming with him, I've got to think. Yeah, Parker is on pit road as well, as we've got a car smoking, heavily smoking in the back of the pit road entry. Here they come. Brunnemer to his stop, and then Parker's going to be right in front of him, it looks like, potentially. We'll actually just kind of sit here and watch them both. I think, obviously, we'll see what the gap is. It was about 6 seconds before the stops, and it'll be interesting to see. Looked like they both made a really smooth stop in, from what I could tell, and both taking tires. Brunnemer the first to go. We'll see where Parker is. He drops and now going with him.
Looks like they both got out clean.
It doesn't really look like, if anything, there was much of an advantage. Maybe a slight advantage to Michael Parker, showing him he's got the gap down to 4.8 seconds now. And Rafael Sosa, who we talked about a minute ago, is now on pit road. So everybody kind of making those stops and back out on outlaps. Oh, that's Doug Heinz on the chat there in Twitch. So sorry to hear that, Doug. Hate to hear that you had trouble. Long season though, and hope to have you back out here every week, as well as in the IRTES series. Which, Ryan, that's a good moment. You can see our banners here. We should probably just give thanks to. This is a series that's made possible by all of the members that make up the community at CMS, and we've got an in-house sponsor, our iRacing Team Endurance Series, which is our flagship team-based series at CMS that we've got plugging and sponsoring a little bit here for the Sprint Series. Races will be starting up in March. Sign-ups are going quickly. We'd love to see as many of these drivers in these races get out with us in IRTES, which is that iRacing Team Endurance Series. We run about a race every 3 to 4 weeks starting in March. They're 3 hours in length. There's driver swaps. There's a lot of great sponsors and prizes. And one of those sponsors is our partners at simrace247.com. Just a huge thanks to Darren and his team at Simrace247. They do a phenomenal job for the sim racing community, all the news that they bring. They feature a lot of CMS articles, and we like to do everything we can to pay them back for that. So, Ryan, that's another thing that we, sometimes we don't take a moment and pause and just thank, not only all the members, but, the members and organizations like a Simrace 24/7 that help us here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just really, really fortunate to have some of those partnerships, and quite a few of them we have. So it does look like Michael Parker gained a little bit of an advantage, but it's a 5-second or so gap, not really making up any headway. He's really going to need Chris probably to have some issues here in the last 20-25 minutes of this race, as we get to the end. One of the battles we talked about earlier that I want to go back and check on, it looks like these guys are on pit road now, and maybe for an extended stop, unfortunately. This is Leonard Burke, who we're finally seeing moving after 1 minute and 47 seconds on pit road. So you see Leonard coming off here now. He was in a top 20 battle with Larry Ford and some of the other guys. Paul Hamilton was in that battle earlier, so not sure what happened to Leonard, but that sounds like a little long to me to be on pit road. Sounds like they had to
get out the duct tape for sure.
Yeah. But car looks okay from what I can tell here. I don't know if he ended up coming in taking a fast repair. Looks like maybe a little bit of a bent hood from what I can tell.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, but the battle I like, we like to try to make sure that we give everybody some, or as many guys as possible. It's impossible with this size field to get to everybody, but to be able to give some of these guys the airtime that they deserve. This is that battle that we talked about, 3 or 4 of the veterans that we've got in this race. We're back on Tim Collier. Tim up to 23rd position and battling pretty hard here. With Paul Hamilton, Larry Ford. Looks like Tim trying to hold off the Ferrari. And that's Richard in the Ferrari behind him.
Yeah, Tim's got his hands full.
Yeah, he does. Tim gets wide there. He's going to open the door here. He is unfortunately going to open the door, and Richard's going to drive right through it. Tim knows it. That's a smart racer though on Tim's part. He knew he was beaten there, and he'll live to fight another battle. When it makes sense. We'll see if he can now kind of set his sights on Richard as a rabbit. Looks like Tim overdrives the corner, unfortunately, and if he's not careful, he's going to let Paul Hamilton into this thing. These guys having quite a bit of a battle, and these are for key positions when we start to talk about points. We're looking at like Paul Hamilton as an example in the Lambo right now. Paul running in 22nd position overall, but I believe that's got him solidly in the top 10 in Pro-Am class, Ryan.
Yeah, the thing with the point structure that we've got here is that everybody in both classes is competing for the same points. So whether you're a pro or an AM driver, if you finish in 10th place, you get the points for 10th place overall.
I love that. I really think that's that to me feels like the proper way to do it. It really does, and I'm glad to see us doing it that way.
Yeah, it's a really kind of exciting way to do it. Every position matters. Everybody you come across that isn't a lap down, it's still a race for points. It's a race for position.
Yeah, it really is. And this will be interesting as we watch this. This is a battle we talked about earlier, a battle that we like, just because we like kind of some of the personalities that we could talk about in this. But you can see this is Paul Hamilton going down the Kimmel Straight, and he has got his eyes set on Larry Ford. And again, I cannot tell you how much of a backstory there is with these two drivers. These guys have been racing together back in the Grand Prix Legends days, on dial-up modems, and back when we all chased each other around with a GPL rank. And to see these guys out on the track here, both, probably, don't know if they'd want me to say this or not, but probably up, over the 60-year-old mark, and holding their own here is pretty special to watch.
Definitely. We've got such an amazing, diverse group of drivers here in this series and CMS as a whole.
Yeah, we really do. This is an interesting car to focus on here. JT Tammy's kind of in the middle of all this. He had a big problem right at the beginning of the race. But he's called back, Ryan, and he's got this Ford GT3, and he might be the only Ford GT3 in the field. He's got this thing in the top 20.
I would never count JT out of a race.
Yeah, you want to just talk about a real pro. Also a champion. He won the overall Porsche Cup Championship last year, so we had a really fun series that was part of one of our support series for IRTES for the Team Endurance Series. We had a North American-based Porsche Cup Series that ran on Wednesday nights in this time slot, and then we also had a Sunday morning official support series that ran alongside the IRTES series the day of at the same tracks. And Miguel Colon was the international champion in that Sunday morning series, but JT took the North American title as well as the overall title for Porsche Cup Series champion. And I know that was really important to him. He battled hard for that. It was just such a huge accomplishment.
We got James Good in the chat. Doing a call back to what we said about some drivers up in their 60s, and he says there's hope for me then at 59.
Yeah, James, we're I'm kind of half giving consideration to a lot of times we'll do series that are based around having like a sub race for all of us guys that are getting a little up there in age, but maybe we just need to create our own series and not invite the younger guys to be a part of it, and just create our own chapter for anybody 50 and above. I just turned 50 this year, so hopefully I can be part of that group, Ryan. So, meanwhile, I've kind of gone back up front here, and Chris Brunnemer and Michael Parker pretty much identical, but Chris has got that 5-second gap, and unless there's a problem for him, I just don't see him being challenged. I really don't.
Yeah, it would take a lot at this point.
Yeah, he's going to have to, we know he took tires. We know they both came in and took tires. They're running pretty much identical lap times. And just holding a really pretty wheel. Really, really pretty wheel. And we've got Claude has moved back on top after the pit stops as we thought. So we'll go again here on our leader in the Pro-Am category, and in 4th position overall. So this is one of those drivers I'm sure, Ryan, you and the admins are going to be keeping an eye on, make sure he's appropriately classed over a period of a few races.
Oh yeah, we'll be taking a look at the whole field just to make sure.
Yeah. But he really has not been challenged in this car. Both of these leaders, in each respective subclass for the series are not really being challenged. They can't afford to make a mistake by any means, but they're not under a whole lot of pressure. And saw that we did have that spin you commented on the chat with Pierre, and they did take 4 tires, to answer your question in the chat there. Most everybody, we believe, took 4 tires on the pit stop. And the tires are free. That's a change they made with the GT3 cars in this build for iRacing. They changed that to where tires are done at the same time as fuel is, so pretty much there's not really a penalty per se to worry about taking tires. So Ryan, we're past the hour mark. We've got 15 minutes left in this race. Is there anybody in particular you're watching, or any particular battles? We know we've touched on that Larry Ford, Paul Hamilton. That looks like it's settled down for a little bit, but kind of a little bit spaced out up here in the top 10.
Yep, it does seem to have just spread out a little bit.
And maybe we'll do a little bit of a rundown. Let's kind of do a rundown here, and we'll go through kind of the group as a whole. So Chris Brunnemer, who we've talked about, been up front all night in the Lambo. Looks like sponsored by PSM. I'd love to know a little bit more about that sponsor. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to talk to Chris if he stays in this position at the end of the race and wants to come by for a quick interview. But Chris inherited the lead early on about the second, third lap, when really all 3 guys ahead of him had trouble, and he has just taken advantage of that opportunity and not looked back at all. Michael Parker in second place, who we're on now. This was my pick, Ryan, with Michael, and he certainly has shown he was a solid pick for the race too.
Michael's always a solid pick.
Yeah, and love the paint scheme here. Car looks fantastic. Kind of the quiet guy that we haven't just talked a whole lot about tonight, but he's been up here all night long, has been Dick Muller. He's actually in the Doge Bear car, and I believe it's his teammate that is leading the AM class just behind him. So these are teammates in these 2 cars, himself and Claude. But Dick he's been running up front for a while now. I think he was up front some of the last series, if I remember seeing his name. Some of the races you guys were doing in the Radicals and LMP2s and whatnot.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so another very strong driver. We've been on the 256 machine. This car driven by Claude Belval, teammate of Dick. These guys with the Doge Bear, I hope I'm saying that right, or Dog Bear. I guess it's Dog Bear Racing Team. Look like they are going to be quite forced to be reckoned with. These are 2 cars definitely in the top 5. And one of them leading the category in the Pro-Am Championship. Be surprised if we don't see Claude figure out a way to bring this thing home. We haven't talked just a whole lot about this driver, but here's Chris Hudson. He is one of the Day 1 members from CMS since 1999. Chris is another driver, Ryan, I know you're fond of. This is another driver you always find up front.
Oh, yeah. A fellow teammate of mine on the Can-Am team.
Yeah, and just a great guy.
100% agree with that.
Chris does a lot of real-life racing. I know he gets out to VIR and several other tracks in his real race car, and it's just amazing to see how he's matured over the years. Yeah, he started with us when he was a kid, and teenager, and now he's married, grown man, adult, married, kids, in his 40s probably, or close to it, and has just been a joy to race with. The car that to me has been the most pleasant surprise of the night has been the 33 here of Kevin Ayers. This guy has backed up his qualifying position, 6th place overall in this field and leading Brett Stevens. This is actually a battle we need to pay attention to, it looks like here, because you can now see Brett Stevens right behind him, is closed up on him. But leading Brett Stevens in a race is not for the faint of heart, right? Brett, just a phenomenal driver, and I think this is going to be one that we might want to kind of watch here as things shake out to the end. You think Brett can get around Kevin, Ryan, or you think Ryan's going to, or you think Kevin's going to hold him off?
He's got a good shot at getting around him, I would think. He's closed the gap. He's got the pace. Just needs a couple opportunities to get around him.
Yeah, let's ride with Brett here and watch this a little bit. See if he might have a shot right here. This is where most guys have had the shot. It's just kind of who gets this. It did not look to me like Brett got a great exit there out of La Source.
No, I don't think he'll have enough here. But there is, I mean, it's a big hunk of track here to get a tow.
Yeah, and does this BMW have enough legs underneath it is the question I have to get around this Lamborghini. We're about to find out. He's going to look. He's at least... Brett is such a smart racer, though. These are two guys who are teammates as well. They both run with the Champion Motorsports Endurance team. So these are guys who have a ton of respect for each other as well. So Brett's going to race him clean here.
That's just so good to watch.
Yeah, this is probably our best battle on the track right now, and it's meaningful. In fact, Ryan, let's just complete this lap. Let's go on board with them and just kind of enjoy it.
I don't know about you, but I'm not getting the sense that Brett is really pushing here. He might just be hanging back a little.
Yeah, I don't either. I think he's just waiting for his moment. I think what we're going to maybe see here is, let's see kind of what type of an exit that both of them get here from Brett's cockpit out of La Source. I think he's going to wait till he knows he's got that run and he can make it happen. And you know Kevin's going to protect the inside. He's going to have to get a good enough run that he can get around him on the outside. Just don't know if he's going to be close enough here. Brett got a good run there. Kevin's giving him the inside here. And here he goes. He's going to show him. He's going to show it to him, and it looks like Kevin's going to let him have it. So there you go. There's the battle for that position. I think Kevin will have a hard time running him back down. I think Brett is maybe just got a little bit more pace than Kevin does.
Yeah, it seemed like he was able to stay on him.
Yeah, but what a great battle here. Let's go on down the field a little bit more before we go back to the leaders for the last 5 minutes of this race. We've got Rafael Sosa. He's just behind these guys. This is our second place car in the Pro-Am category. Humberto Roca is behind him. Boy, Humberto had that spin and that trouble, and he just kind of faded after that. I mean, obviously still having a very good race here in 9th position, but this car was, I don't know if it was the driver, the car, or combo. Driver was a little bit rusty, I think we all knew. But boy, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this series.
Yeah, with all that trouble, he still finished ahead of 51 other people.
Right, and and that was not a, I don't I don't think he took a ton of damage there, but he definitely lost 20 seconds or so. Another driver that quietly is having a phenomenal race here is Juan Martinez in the 228. This is an Audi. You can see Juan giving a little bit of a light flash here to a lapped car. The 29th position machine. That's Mike Tyler, actually, in the Lambo. We talked about Mike earlier, but won in 10th place overall. And this is our third place driver on the podium in the Pro-Am category, of course. So I'm going to skip down a little bit more, talk about one more driver again. Just love to see. We talked about this gentleman earlier. It's Mark Johnson. This has really probably maybe been the drive of the race. This driver, teammate of Brett Stevens, Longhorn Racing, he's up 30 positions. So has just really, really, really driven a phenomenal race. You got to think Mark would have been up there, Ryan, in contention if he just had a better starting spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you look at the lap times here, he's dipped down into the 2:17s, which is kind of what the guys up front have done as well. So let's get back up here, see what's going on up front. Doesn't look like just a whole lot has changed up here with Chris Brunnemer.
Michael Parker has closed up that gap a little.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Let's see if we can, let's go into a little bit wider view here. I'll get on Michael Parker, kind of a blimp cam, and see if we can just kind of get a sense for how far behind he is of Chris Brunnemer when they both come into view. Looks like he has, to your point, he's closed it down to about 3 seconds. 3.5 seconds. You can see Chris ahead coming out of the chicane, and there's Michael, so if he pins his ears back these last couple of laps, we could end up, any sort of bobble at all, and he's going to be there.
Yeah.
So Ryan, while we've had while we're coming to the end of the race tonight, what can we expect here? Are these races going to be bi-weekly, once a week? Are they just kind of spread out on the calendar? When will we see the guys back, and where will we be next round?
We are racing every single week. We're also running practices every Tuesday.
Okay.
And so we're changing up the format every week. So this week was a 75-minute race. Next race, I believe, is going to be a 60-minute race. No, correction. Next race is going to be a heat race, which is a new thing for us here at CMS. So that will look like 2 short races on race night, about 30 minutes long each. And it'll be a reverse grid on the second race. So if you finish up front, you'll be starting near the back and vice versa. And we are at Red Bull Ring next week, January 11th.
Oh, fantastic. That's going to be a great circuit. That is, such a fun, fast, yet technical track. That'll be a really good one to go to after here at Spa. Keep the will we be at mostly European tracks or a little bit all over the place?
All over. We are somewhat following the IRTES schedule. Whenever IRTS has a race, we're going to do the same track that week, but of course we have to fill in all the weeks in between, so we're going everywhere from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park to Road America, Daytona on the North American side, to Nürburgring, Red Bull Ring, Spa as we are now.
That's fantastic.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, well, I know you and I were both super excited to do this tonight, and we've made it to the end here, and hopefully in one piece. Boy, Michael is there. He's in the view now. This is the white flag of the race, but 3.5 seconds. Don't think he's going to make that up on the track, Ryan. I think we're going to have to see a bobble out of Chris, and I just don't know that we will. But Michael probably has a little bit more pace right now.
They've both put up an incredible showing here.
They really have. And then those two Dog Bear teammates behind him, Dick Muller, and looking to round out the podium, and then his teammate Claude Belval leading the Pro-Am category Claude has just been holding a pretty wheel tonight. Those Ferraris looking very, very good. They're kind of the meat and the sandwich between the Lamborghinis and the top 5 or 6 here in the race. And then those BMWs, like we talked about, Brett Stevens, Rafael Sosa, those BMWs have been strong as well.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see what JT Tammy is going to be able to do with that Ford as the season winds on.
Yeah, I am too. He's, I think, if not mistaken, he might be the only Ford in the field. Looks like we've got to go to 14th place tonight to see a Mercedes. I see a couple of Audis, one of them in the top 10. Not seeing any Porsches in the top 20, really, Ryan. Porsche's available, isn't it? I would think.
It's available.
Yeah. That's interesting. Wonder if they're. We'll have to go take a look at the final standings and see kind of what gives there.
Yeah.
Well, as a reminder, I know a lot of the guys on the track can't know this, but maybe what you can do, Ryan, if you have the opportunity, is tag a couple of these guys that finish on the podium. Maybe I think we probably want to pull the winners in each of the classes, and then anybody that contended for the podium. As Chris does take the checkered flag here, Michael Parker in second, and Dick ends up in third there. And we will have Claude bring home the victory in the Pro-Am category. Here comes Claude to the finish line now to take the win for the Pro-Am category in his Ferrari. So just a phenomenal run there for him.
It's an excited flashing of lights as we cross the line.
Yeah, some guys definitely excited to get those finishes. I mean, I think if you finished in the top 20 tonight, you had a pretty solid race, in my opinion, right?
I would totally agree with that.
But while we're pulling some of the guys in here to see if they want to talk, I will do a quick rundown. It looks like in the pro category and overall, Chris Brunnemer with the win. Congratulations, Chris. Michael Parker in second. Dick Muller in third. That's our podium in the pro class. Claude Belval is the winner in the Pro-Am category. Second place in Pro-Am category was Rafael Sosa in 8th place overall. And it looks like Juan Martinez is the third driver on the podium in the Pro-Am category in 10th overall. We had over 50 cars here tonight. Just a phenomenal race. It was very clean. It was very... all the drama happened right at the beginning. Both of our pole sitters in Pro-Am and Pro, including Miguel Colon, a real veteran here at CMS, self-inflicted mistakes. They handed the lead to Humberto Roca, who then had an ill-handling car. It was obvious that there was an ill-handling car there for Humberto. Ended up biting him hard. And when that all happened, they kind of gifted it to Chris Brunnemer. And Ryan, he never looked back.
He certainly did not. Even with a very determined Michael Parker closing that gap.
Yeah, it just never looked back. And Michael Parker, of course, nothing to be ashamed of. He had a phenomenal race himself. And yeah, they got another 15 or 20 minutes. He might have had something for Chris, but he didn't get that opportunity to do that. But definitely a race he can be proud of, and a lot of good battles through the night. I know that we had fun looking at JT Tammy and what he was able to do in the Ford. We had the opportunity to talk about Mark Johnson, had a phenomenal drive up 32 positions at the end. We got the chance to follow a really fun race with some of the veterans in the series. Paul Hamilton, Larry Ford, Tim Collier was in that battle for a while. And we had a few guys that had kind of a tough night too, especially unfortunately some of the admins. So hopefully they'll have a cool-off period themselves, and we'll see Pierre Robitaille, Liam Parks, some of those guys have a little bit better go of it at the next race in Red Bull. So
Yeah. So I did ping the podiums for both the Pro and Am classes. So we'll see if anybody wants to join us here for a quick chat.
yeah, sounds good. While we're waiting on that, just continue to go down the field a little bit. And we'll go from 11 to 20. Nick Kuhn, a driver we did not talk a whole lot about tonight, but Nick is just a phenomenal driver. We love having Nick at CMS in his Lamborghini in 11th place overall in the Pro-Am category at top 5. We had Franco Sanchez in the 12th position in the Audi. Mark Johnson, who we mentioned earlier, finished in the 13th position overall. Behind Mark was Stephen Yanni. Didn't talk just a whole lot about Stephen tonight, but sometimes those are the best races you have when you don't hear your name too much. And so similarly for Ray Partridge, another driver we did not get the opportunity to talk a whole lot about, but Ray had a phenomenal run, top 15. A lot of the Pro-Am guys in the top 15. You know, I'm counting 7 or 8, so you know about half of the drivers in the top 15, Ryan, tonight came from that Pro-Am category.
Yeah, it's been a very competitive field overall.
Yeah, it really has, and just a good group. If we go back from 16 to 20, Richard Hibbs, we talked about Richard for a little while. He was in the BMW, ended up having a solid race, up 6 positions from where he started. JT Tammy, John Taylor Tammy, in the Ford GT3, came all the way up after having a pretty significant incident where he broke the rear wing off that Ford early on in the race. He ended up back in 17th position at the end of the night. So he's got to be happy with that recovery drive, wouldn't you think?
Oh, I would be.
Yeah. I do see Michael Parker in the chat. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for us to pull him in there. You'll have to tell me what's possible. But he's in the iRacing General chat.
Yeah, a lot of those guys like to hang out there after the race and just do a bit of a, sort of self debrief.
Yeah, okay, which is fine. And if Michael or anybody is listening and you pinged them, they want to come by and chat, we'll be happy to do that for a few minutes. As I kind of go back through, we'll kind of go down to the top 20. Peter Hebron in 18th position. We didn't talk a lot about Peter tonight, but can't remember. Is Peter a teammate of yours, Ryan, on Can-Am, or maybe on?
No, he isn't.
Okay.
But definitely a staple in the Wednesday night series.
Yeah, and I know last night when we came on and did our stream test, Peter and Paul Hamilton were chasing each other around the track, and I know we talked a little bit about them, and sure enough, looks like Peter ended up getting the better of those two. He finished in 18th overall tonight, and Paul Hamilton in 21st. 19th went to Jose Dolio. I think Jose had some trouble. He was down 11 positions, so that's a driver that we see kind of lost the most positions. So must have had some trouble in his BMW, a pro driver, but must have had to have taken a repair that we didn't catch. And then rounding out the top 20, big shout out to Larry Ford. What a great drive for Larry. That is a solid finish for Larry. Up 13 positions from where he started, and he ended up being the victor, if you will, in that battle of the veterans. So he got the bragging rights between himself, Paul Hamilton, Tim Collier, Pierre Robitaille, some of those guys that Anthony James was in that battle for a while. So, score 1 to Larry for the bragging rights.
Definitely. I see Michael Parker has put his hand up in the chat, so we could risk pulling him in. He might be mid-sentence.
Yeah, let's see if we could pull him in, and maybe pull in Miguel Colon as well. All right. Michael, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Man, what a drive tonight. We really enjoyed. We really enjoyed that. The question on our minds here for Ryan and I, the first one is: had you gone another 10 or 15 minutes? Did you have anything for him?
Oh yeah, I think I was catching him. I'm not sure if Chris took tires or not, but I took all four in the pits, and it looked like we came out with the same gap that we went in with. So I think we both probably were. We changed tires, but not sure. He was losing ground more so in the middle sectors. T1 all through Eau Rouge and Radeon, he was gaining some time back. So I'm not sure where the pace was falling off with him, but it was mostly in the middle sector, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, I know you were really enamored with Michael's drive. Any questions for him here?
Coach me. No, it was a really fantastic drive, Michael. I was just watching you close the gap there in the last, in the last say 20 minutes of the race.
Yeah, it was interesting because at the beginning of the race, Chris, Humberto, Miguel, before the spin, like I knew they all had the pace, but when it was me, Humberto, and Chris fighting, Miguel was actually in the mix after he got out of the pits. I was just trying to keep the gap separate from Dick, and I was like, well, it looks like we either had the same pace or he's a little bit faster, so I didn't really think anything of it until after the stop. And then
Right.
we were the exact same pace after the stops, and I was like, okay, well, if it finishes like this, I'm okay. But then I saw the time come down, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get on it.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the race, Michael, boy, it was like those guys ahead of you, Miguel Colon, who we're going to pull in here in a moment, and I'm going to pull Mark Johnson in as well. Ryan, I've chatted with them to see if they'd come join us here in a second, but they kind of gifted it to you and Humberto. All of a sudden, Miguel was so fast, and he was
Oh
around in
yeah.
a Rouge and Radeon there, and you had to have been like, "What happened here?" All of a sudden, I'm up here, got to lead this thing.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. It was exciting. I mean, it seems like all the events happened in front of me because Miguel at the start, and then Humberto when we went side by side. Was it through? Got the corner name, but Blanchimont. But
yeah,
yeah, we
yes,
we I knew I needed to get by him because any other point, like I didn't have the speed on after Eau Rouge and Radeon, and he was always out breaking me into the next corner. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just pressure him. I didn't want him to spin, but I mean that's what the pressure's for. So
yeah,
kept my
yeah.
line, and I think he got too much curve, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, interesting, and we watched that. That was definitely a moment there where you made the move, and he came back at you there and closed the door, and it was really fun to watch. We thought you were going to get him, but he held his own. But that same corner ended up being his demise later. And I don't know if you could see it, but we certainly saw that Humberto had an ill handling car. We don't know if he was running too little wing or if it was just knocking the rust off,
Oh
or
yeah,
what it may
he
have been. Yeah.
we chatted for a little bit after the race, and he was saying he hasn't raced in 2 years, and the car after it started getting loose, I'm sure he wore the tires down a little bit too much, and yeah, everywhere I could tell he was sliding, skidding all over the place, but he knew how to pick a defensive line, so I was losing time to Chris and Miguel at the time, and I was like, man, I was hoping to stay in that draft, but there's some areas I can challenge him, and some I can't because he's still a fast driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, any other questions for Michael?
No, congrats, Michael, on your amazing drive there, and good luck for next week.
No, thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me, and thanks for putting all this on. This is an amazing turnout.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
you're welcome, and you almost delivered for us. You were our at least my pre-race pick after qualifying to win the race tonight, and second place, definitely a great finish, and congrats, and just so excited to have you here with CMS, and you'll definitely, if you go back and watch a little of the broadcast, see yourself on the broadcast quite a bit tonight.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, guys, for putting on the broadcast and everything. And yeah, definitely great being a part of CMS. And there's so many great people in this league. So very respectful, on track, off track. So glad to be here. Can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Well, have a good evening, and we will catch up with you later.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, David. Thanks, Ryan. See you
You
later.
bet.
Thanks, Michael.
So Ryan, do we have time to talk to another guy or two, or do we need to get going?
I'm not seeing anybody else on deck here, so maybe we just leave them to their own devices tonight.
Yeah, that will work. So we'll go ahead and wrap up here. And we had Mark Johnson and Miguel Colon who were able to say a few things if we wanted, but I think we've.
If they want, we can bring them in.
Well, why not? Yeah, let's go. Let's do that. Let's do that one. Let's actually just to bring them both in here at the same time, and we'll bring them in and talk to them about kind of their situation tonight. So I can pull them in, I believe. And let me go grab Mark, and we'll invite him to speak. Miguel and Mark, are you able to hear us, guys?
10-4, copy.
I got you.
Yeah, hey, wanted to bring both of you in here because you kind of were both part of the story in two different ways, unfortunately. But Miguel, we'll start with you. My goodness, what a phenomenal qualifying to start, and then obviously it looked like it just kind of went all away from you there in the Rouge Radeon sequence, which has happened to many a great driver. Take us through what happened there at the beginning of the race.
Well, like all the practice with cold tires, I went through that section and the car never like snapped or anything. Like it was like solid, flat, So I feel like 100% confidence. And when I'm getting to the top, I feel like the car started going out. I was like, oh, this is not good, because I was not expecting that to happen. So by the time I tried to catch it, it was, too late. I tried to make it back to the pit road running, but then I figured out I had too much damage. So I think that cost me more time. But, we give it a try to recover all the position we could.
Yeah, and, then Ryan and I, Ryan, I'll let you chat with Miguel a little bit about this, but he gave Chris Brunnemer all he could handle, showing him the front bumper of his car for quite a while after that.
Yeah, so when we came out of the pit stop, they were like 0.6 seconds behind me. He started flashing me the light, so I decided let them go, because it's early in the race, and then if I have pace to pass them, I would try to pass them. Then when he took the lead, I was like coasting all the time. Like I was actually pushing him to see if he could go faster, or if he could let me just go. Like he didn't let me go, and then I was like, you know what? I'm tired of just following him. I'm just gonna take it now.
Oh, that was amazing to watch, and people would be forgiven for not knowing that you were a lap down in that situation, because you were right there in the thick of things and racing very respectfully, but not giving an inch, so to speak.
Yeah, I figured out it was early in the race, my instinct. Even though I lose a lap early, I knew I had a good pace. So I was like, I will give it my best to see how many spots I could, recover from this. And by least, I could say I was first. I was 54, and then finished 23rd. So I count as a win.
Yeah, that's the way we saw it, and we didn't blame you one bit for being there. In fact, we talked, if anything, that it would have been in Chris's best interest to just kind of let you go there, because and I think he did eventually, but he could have made that mistake we've all made of racing someone that you're really not racing. But it was just great to see you get back on the saddle and continue to have a strong recovery drive. I know not where you wanted to finish, but all those positions mattered. You still beat more than half the field. It was a huge field tonight.
Yeah, I always say all my experience running different leagues, like if there is no drop race, the first night is the most important, because that's the one that most people show up to race. Then usually at the end, a lot of people start showing up. So it's more difficult to gain back points against the people that you're competing for the top. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we really are excited to have you here. We know your team just signed up for the iRacing Team Endurance Series. Be sure to tell all your friends about what we got going on Wednesday nights. And, you were on the camera quite a bit tonight, so you have to go back and take a look at it. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, guys. I share also in our group page from our team in Facebook your channel for today's stream. So thank you for the invitation, guys.
We appreciate it. And hey, might I add, that is one really good looking car you're driving there.
Thank you. Actually, this was kind of like an old plane that we had it at the, the erasing of the spec map for the codes. So when it changed, I was like, oh, it doesn't look too bad. I'm just gonna leave it like that.
Yeah,
great.
we liked it. We thought it was simple, but we loved the black and the purple. And you looked good out there. You looked good last night in practice when we came on for a little bit. Looked good out there tonight, and you showed the way you kind of hang in there even when it doesn't go your way. So we'll know you'll be fun to watch the rest of the season.
Yeah, we say never quit. It goes to the end if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, have a good evening, Miguel. And speaking of driving up through the field, Mark, that's why we pulled you in here. 32 positions from where you started. What a race!
Yeah, good lord.
Yeah, I didn't get to qualify. I have had some computer issues, so I had to do a quick restart just before the qualifying started. And also, I'm on some new pedals and a new rig, so I'm still dialing that in.
Yeah, we're excited to hear more about that. Know that you just made the investment in the rig, and big race coming up that you'll be a part of this weekend with the iRacing Team Endurance Series. So tonight was probably a good opportunity to work out a few of the kinks. And Ryan and I were beside ourselves with just the progress you made. In fact, we felt like you had something for him up front. Had you had a better starting position?
Yeah, I mean, I felt good in the car. I've got to move the pedals back a little bit towards me, and a few little things like that I kind of was thinking about during the drive. But I knew not qualifying, I'd be kind of starting in the back, and it was messy. I mean, I probably gained 15 of those spots through wrecks, and then after that, just kind of trying to make moves on guys, and get as far forward as I could. But I think I was putting in times that were not with the leaders, but probably with the top 10. Like you say, if I'd started a little bit better, I'd probably be in a better spot than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And by way of comparison, a good measuring stick for you was Brett Stevens. We talked a lot about Brett tonight. He drove to the highest BMW in a 7th place finish overall, and you and him had pretty similar pace. As you do generally. We, Ryan, I know you talked about that with the BMW. Any questions for Mark around kind of that car at this track?
Well, I think what we saw, David, was that the BMWs just really kind of seemed planted after the update, and they may not, like, Mark, you can speak to this, but like, how do you feel things like the straight line speed compares with the cornering speed in the BMW?
So honestly, I haven't even been in the sim probably in 3 or 4 weeks with Christmas and everything going on. So dealing with all the new stuff, and then having not really driven the new cars on the new build much at all. A little bit in week 13. I stuck with the car that I'm comfortable with. So what I found making passes tonight was that I ran just the iRacing medium downforce just to kind of have a baseline. And main place I got people was actually coming up the Kemmel Straight, and it was not necessarily the car. It was that I was so planted through Radeon that I, kind of freed up the wheel, cut that left-hand apex at the top of the hill, and was just able to keep it flat and carry speed. And I saw, probably 3 or 4 Lambos and a couple of Ferraris that going over the crest of the hill, they were wiggling a little bit. They were, they were steering, and I wasn't having to steer. I just kind of pointed it up the hill and let it go. And I knew, like, I would back off into the beginning of Eau Rouge, because I knew I was going to have a run. And if you get, too much of a run, they can block you through the little kink on the Kemmel Straight. So I knew I wanted to catch them right as we got there. And, several guys that went around the outside just because I was able to carry so much speed over the top of the hill. But through like Blanchimont and through the back straight, it was pretty even with the other cars. The grip overall felt really good through the entire run. I didn't take any tires at all, just to kind of see what it would look like after 75 minutes. And honestly, it was drivable the whole way. I did notice the need to back up my brake points in the last 3, 4, 5 laps, but other than that, it was very consistent.
Do you mind revealing for us what your tire percentages were down to?
Dude, honestly, I forgot to check, but
Okay.
they were at 65 in the pits, or
Okay.
55 or 65.
Yeah.
I considered taking tires. The problem is both sides were almost the same. It wasn't like I had significant wear on one side to the other. So at that point, I said, you know what, I'm not going to mess up the balance. I'll just run with what I got, and just to do a little experiment and see what it would look like after 75. But I would assume they were probably in the 30s, if I had to guess.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, well, you did a remarkable job, Mark, just in all aspects of the race, and even more impressive that you were on new gear. You're just going to get better and better. What a great drive.
Frantically restarting your PC or whatever you were having to do at the beginning.
Restart the PC, load into Oculus, all that stuff during qualifying. I do want to apologize real quick to Liam Park. I made a mention of it in the Discord, but I gave him a little love tap, and I don't know if his net code or the tap both, but punted him pretty good, and I think I killed him pretty dead. So my bad there for ruining his race. I feel bad about that for sure.
Well, thanks, Mark. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah, we knew he was fuming and he was on pit road. He didn't say anything, but he definitely was worse for the wear. And Ryan and I, as novices on the cameras here, couldn't get to it fast enough, and that's really yours truly here. But we knew he'd had some damage, so and we all know, and I know Liam knows that that never would have been intentional, just a mistake on your part, and it happens.
He had a car in front of him, kind of check up. He checked up, and I was on the brakes, but just not enough. And I think if I'd have caught him square, probably would have been nothing. But I just caught him just in the right rear with my left front, and it just angled him 45 degrees off the track, right at the wall. Kind of a bad deal overall. But definitely my bad.
I did see it on my screen. Just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thanks for joining us, and phenomenal drive again tonight. We talked about you quite a bit out there, so you have to go back and watch the Twitch video when we post it.
Yeah, I'll jump on.
Give us some feedback, and we'll see you this weekend racing for CMS in the MTIC series, and have a great night.
Yeah, thanks a lot, David. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, good night, Mark.
Well, Ryan, great race. I think we could probably move to wrapping up here, but I certainly enjoyed it. Loved working with you tonight, and man, we might have to do another one of these. Might be able to talk me into doing it next time.
Hey, sure. No, and likewise, I really enjoyed working with you tonight.
Yeah, I part of me wants to race, and part of me wants to just kind of help bring the race to the guys. So we'll make sure that we continue to try to do this. I'm in for if we can make it work calendar wise. Maybe we'll come right back to Red Bull Ring and bring round 2 of this great series to the team.
For sure. Well, we'll talk about it, and we'll let everybody else know.
All right. Well, hey everybody! On behalf of Ryan and myself, want to thank you for watching. If you tuned in tonight, we want to again thank all of the members of Champion Motorsports that helped put this together. We want to thank simrace247.com and our friends there. We also want to, again, thank our in-house iRacing Team Endurance Series. Super excited about that series. If you haven't yet signed up for that series that starts in March, you're going to want to get in. Sign-ups are going quick. I think we only have about a dozen spots left. Across the GT3 and LMP2 categories. We have a waiting list that's starting for the LMDH category, but we're going to have a phenomenal series that will go very well to complement the series here. So until next time, we'd love your feedback on how we did tonight, and appreciate all the grace and patience with us, and we will see you next time we're on the air. Good night.